I dream big, and I figured if I'm going to get someone big, I'm going to go to the top, the NBA logo, Jerald West, the winningest NBA championship coach in the world, Phil Jackson, the NBA, or up until this season, the NBA winningest regular season coach, Lenny Wilkins, an icon in the sport, Willis Reed, another icon, Walt Frazier. The people of that nature, I went to them, and you may say, well, they're not from Mount Vernon. No, but they either coached, played with, or played against those from Mount Vernon. And this is why when I say 4 square miles of glory, I think in terms of they came from our little small town, and they made it to the world at large, and they made a difference. Each player made a substantial contribution in the NBA. Are they Hall of Famers? No, but you'll be hard-pressed to find any school in America to have 3 sets of brothers to be drafted into the NBA. The McRae brothers, the Williams brothers, and the Moore brothers. And 2 sets actually made it, which is still phenomenal, to have 2 sets of brothers to make it in the NBA. I don't care if it's a big town or not. That is an accomplishment that is just not common.
Well, let's fast forward. You're in production, post-production right now. Most everything's been filmed. I'm sure you'll never stop filming. You're a basketball-aholic, in other words. So we know there's something coming behind this. But right now you're courting some folk. You've got some ties to Mount Vernon. I understand that you're looking for someone to narrate this. Who's that?
Well, it was a 4-hour piece, so I wanted 4 people to represent the narrators. That 4, it must be something very deep about that number. Denzel Washington, gotta have his voice. He's my #1 choice, and I believe he will do it. J.B. Smoove, who's a personal friend of mine since 5th grade, also a neighbor, and he's out in the world, stand-up comedian, television shows, movies, what have you. So I'm very, very proud of him. We're all proud of him. And also Bill Daughtry, who is a radio announcer, radio analyst, has his own talk show on ESPN, and also John Rothstein. And you may say, well, Rothstein, what does he have to do with Mount Vernon? Well, his father played basketball for Mount Vernon High School, Barry Rothstein. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he may be the only Jewish player that ever played on the team, from what I've seen anyway. But John Rothstein is a basketball junkie, nice young man. He also works for MSG and ESPN. So I took my 4 narrators that had Mount Vernon ties. And no, I'm not biased. You know, I would have gone outside the region, but I figured use the talent that came from here or have close ties to here. Bill Daughtry is from Mount Vernon as well. So I went that route.
Well, we know this is an entertaining documentary about basketball, but it's so much more. Talk to us about how this documentary will inspire young people to make better choices where their athletic careers may be concerned.
In the boys club, how friendship started, how camaraderie started, how discipline started, how manners started, how respect started. And the reason why I'm putting those attributes in is because the people that I mentioned earlier that agreed to be a part of this documentary were happy to do it because they fell in love with the Mount Vernon players because of how they carried themselves, how they acted. Of course, everyone to a man says Ray was the craziest one, but they say that in a loving way. But everyone, I have about 14 Hall of Famers in total in my documentary, and I've interviewed hundreds of people. Well, 100 actually I've interviewed, but 50 were probably townsfolk, and the other people were NBA or media types. But no one said no to me. I mean, it was a matter of, yes, I'd be happy to do it. You know, I'll find time for you and different things of that nature. Phil Jackson, God bless him, he interviewed me right on the Laker logo right after practice on a game day. And you very, very rarely does any player or coach do anything on a game day, because game day is game day. but he knew I was in California. He knew why I was there. He loved Lowe's more because he coached him in the CBA, and he was happy to give me time to, for the documentary. And so it's just been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience, traveling across the world. Across the United States, being in coaches' houses. Coach Denny Crum out of Louisville, I was able to go in his house to spend hours. Coach Bill Fitch. It's just been wonderful. And believe it or not, I've been able to make friends with these people. Coach Fitch, he's my email buddy. He's like a grandfather to me, but if I have a question, I'll hit him on the email, or I'll call him, and he answers. And this is a man that I remember watching Rodney McCray in the 1986 championship against Boston. Rodney's being coached by Bill Fitch. Never would I have thought back then, wow, I'm gonna meet this man one day, and I'm going to be, sitting in his house and talking to him, his wife, and different things of that nature. So, the 4 Square Miles blessed me in such a way because the journey's been long, but it's been rewarding. And the one thing I want to add, every project that I've worked on did not happen overnight. And this is another thing that I want young people to realize. Because you have a dream to do something, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight or it's going to be instantaneously done. Life is not a microwave. Life is an oven. All right? When I grew up, when I made popcorn, it took a half an hour, give or take. Now you can make popcorn in 3 minutes. But that's not the reality of life. That's not the reality of projects and careers and such. Sometimes you may get told no. Sometimes you may hit a bump in the road. Sometimes things may fall apart. It doesn't mean it's not meant to be. It means that you have to just get up, put the pieces back together, and keep moving. Because once you make it, and you will make it on some level, again, that blueprint, the footprints that you'll leave behind, you'll be able to help someone else, and God will bless you for that. And I've always been a believer of that.
Well, if somebody wants to get in touch with you about this documentary and they say, you know what, I know somebody from Mount Vernon. I've got a picture. I've got a videotape. I've got a story. You need to include this. What should they do?
Well, you can hit me on email. You can hit me at Jerald@JeraldHoover.com. That's JeraldAld @JeraldHoover.com. JeraldHoover.com. Or you can Google me and Jerald Hoover. You'll find me because I'm on the web as a sports writer, documentarian. You can go to YouTube and see the trailer. So also you can go to lifechoices.com and you can see the trailer there. So it's been just an awesome experience.
And lastly, before we go, I want you to look in that camera and tell the folk who's missing from this documentary. So they need to know the names. If you're looking for these guys, call me.
Well, I'm looking for Barry Horn, who is a former sports writer out of Mount Vernon, New York. He's the Pete Vesey of Mount Vernon basketball. I'd love to be able to speak with him. As far as who's missing as a character, not many people are missing because in 4 years I made sure I dug things up. But right now I'm looking for footage. I'm looking for newspapers. I'm looking for stories. I'm looking for anecdotes. I'm looking for encouragement. I'm looking for prayers, and anything that you want to add to contribute to this masterpiece. And it's not a masterpiece because I did it. It's a masterpiece because these guys did it. I'm just blessed to put things together so that they can get the recognition and the just due. And the city at large, Mount Vernon, needs this uplift because we're going through some trying times right now. So we can all use a Band-Aid.
Jerald, well, that pretty much wraps things up, but we are dying to see 4 Square Miles to Glory in the theater, on Showtime, on HBO. And I'm going to tell you, you corporate sponsors, if you're slow to move, it's really going to cost you because Jerald's getting offers from everybody. So if you want product placement, if you want advertisement, you're going to have to get in touch with them pretty quick, or it's going to be a high price. That's just a clue. Thank you very much, Mr. Hoover. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.